Well, that is a new intro from Bob the Builder when we had Gibbs. Now to some heavy rock. And yes, Chernobyl, that is Beartooth in between. If you guys liked it, go check it out. Great song. I have a couple great tunes. But speaking of great, you're here at the Rocket League Dojo, and there was some greatness that happened before. Someone just had to have that GFFB emote. So they got it. Gastrodon, thank you so much for that sub coming in clutch. Absolutely incredible. SMYD, back to you guys. But yes, this is the RL Dojo. If you guys have never been here before, we talk about mechanics, we talk about mentalities, we try to get into the nitty gritty of what makes the best players the best players. And of course, I'm not one of them, so I can't do that for you. So alongside, to help me out here, we have Huskih. What's going on?
Not much, man. Great to be here.
Ready to rock and roll. We're going to get to know a little bit about Huskih in just a minute here. But first off, again, I just want to kind of go over what today's show is going to be about. Chat, do not worry. We are watching you guys. We are checking you out, and we're not ignoring you. But we do want to make sure we stay on topic and we get the most out of Huskih while we have him here as he graciously gives us his time. And to not get too distracted. But we will approach you guys every once in a while. If you guys have relevant stuff, it will be brought up. But at the end, we'll have a Q&A, so make sure you guys save those questions. We will get those to Huskih. So think hard, think strong, or just be goofy. I'm sure he'll answer them all. And we'll get to that near the end. But for now, let's learn a little bit more about Huskih. And then we're going to get into advanced techniques. And I know a lot of you guys are excited to see about that. We've had some new ones come out. We have some that are already established. We're going to find out what they are, what they can do, and how they're going to change the meta. But for now, Huskih, want to know a little bit more about yourself. The other day, we went down to the Chicago LAN, which was absolutely incredible. Huge shout-outs to D-Pants, Jimmer, and Hanzo. They were the MVPs. But we found out on the way down there that even though you're 21, you were the youngin'. We were apparently all of us, except for you. There was like 5 other of us were born in the year 90 except for you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Is this working?
Yeah.
It is. Okay, cool. Yeah, it was weird being the only, like, I thought, because, like, being 21, I mean, you hear a lot, like with Chrome being 23, he's usually considered, like, one of the older players, and then, like, 21 is pretty close, and then everybody's usually younger, and then you get into a car with a bunch of random 26-year-olds going to Chicago. Like, it was odd, but it was cool, because, like, I don't know, I've never just, I didn't even think about it, I didn't think twice about just hopping in a car and just going to Chicago. I just, I got off work, I ate, some pancakes, and then I was gone.
Isn't that the cool thing, though, about, back in the day, your mom's always like, no, don't share that stuff on the internet, never talk to a stranger from the internet. And we just got in a car with 6 different strangers.
Yeah, no one I'd ever met before. I met you at RLCS season 1 man, but, we didn't really talk, right? And so, and then Jimmer stopped by my stream a couple of times, but after that, I hardly even knew who Chernobyl was. I'd never met Curtis. Yeah, it was cool though.
It's great. And we don't even think twice about it. It's just like, all right,
nope.
We're getting in here. And speaking of getting in a car, you came from it was Livnoia, but Livonia, Michigan. You're near to me. I like Michigan. Michigan's pretty much like Canada.
Just Canada. Yeah, it's just a different. It's still got Timmy's. It's got everything you need. So
yeah, exactly. I know that was my favorite thing coming down. I'm like, there's friggin' Timmy's here. Go for a Timmy's run, bud. But so you on to the next point. So you play for Leaf Esports right now. You've been on a few teams, and you've always been at the top. Like you're one of those top notch players. And right now you're teaming. It's Kovno and Double, correct, for Leaf Esports.
Yep. And then Andy is a sub, but yeah. He's mostly doing the speed running stuff right now. Mm-hmm.
So that's good. Yeah, again, between the two Leaf esports, the NA and the EU, both are really strong teams. So again, it just goes to show where where Huskih places when it comes to competitive. He knows what he's talking about, guys. He's not just fooling around here. But before we get into what he actually or the gameplay and get into that knowledge of him, we want to find out a little bit about you. So you coach volleyball. So I imagine that actually translates into competitive video games as well. But how long have you been coaching volleyball for?
This is my third year of coaching, and it's my fourth year of playing. So I started coaching like literally after a year of learning how to play volleyball. So
That's awesome. Okay, so do you find that coaching volleyball and coaching a team that those skills that you learn from there translate over into Rocket League, or do you maybe find it the other way that you're learning a lot from competitive Rocket League and it's helping you with your coaching in volleyball?
I mean, I guess they translate a little bit, and I mean, like trying like learning how to articulate your thought, because like volleyball is a very unique sport where it's like everything's very technical.
Hmm.
It's like just the smallest adjustment in somebody's swing or anything like changes everything, and like I don't know. So I've learned how to be patient and like kind of analyze things more because of it. So I guess it does translate a little bit more into Rocket League than I would think at first.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of like subliminal stuff there too that you maybe aren't like noting down and paying attention
Right.
to that might be translating over. I always imagine. I mean, it's competitive. Now, have you always that just been excuse me competitive then? I mean, you're coaching a volleyball team, not even just
Yeah.
playing. Have you always been in like competitive sports as well?
Yeah, I mean, I played 14 years of hockey and about 9 years of soccer, and then I got to college, and I met my girlfriend, and she kind of, and we were always those, we always thought we were good at volleyball, like in like team sports and stuff in high school, but everybody else just sucked at volleyball. So we thought we were really good, and then I got to college, and we started playing like intramurals and stuff, and I met my girlfriend, and she showed me that I fucking sucked at volleyball. And so I was always athletic, so she took me under her wing, and then within a year, yeah, I picked it up pretty quick, and I just started coaching. I don't know, I love between like volleyball and snowboarding. Those are like the only two things that like get me off my ass nowadays.
I
So
I don't. I mean, I don't even have that kind of motivation, man. I'm turning into a flub. It doesn't show, but I feel it for sure. Just a flub as an object now. We've made it. But yeah, quick intermission here. Shout outs to all the hosts that are coming this way. Just saw one from Lawler there. And we've had a few auto hosts as well. Thank you everyone for getting all the peeps in here. I see people already getting their discussion points on about the no flips. So I'm excited to see once we actually get talking about it what goes on in the chat there. But snowboarding too, now that you just mention it, you've been doing that for a really long time?
nope. I
No.
started since I played hockey and soccer. Yeah, like when I actually started snowboarding more once I got like and volleyball more once I got to college, once I couldn't play soccer and hockey anymore. So like I played soccer and hockey, and I was always so busy because like I would double roster in hockey too. So I'd play on two teams for a season, like one house, one travel team, and then like soccer and like the next season. So like I was always busy and I didn't really have the money to teach me how to snowboard until I stopped doing those things and got to college, which I guess we still didn't really technically have the money because I was in college. College is
Yeah.
terrible. So, but yeah, so I got to learn how to snowboard. I've been snowboarding for about the same amount of time as I've been playing volleyball, about 4 years now, and just got back from Utah, which is that's where that picture's from. Is from Utah, Park City, Utah, which is an incredible experience. Like after going there, like I've ruined snowboarding. Like I can't go snowboarding
Yeah.
in Michigan anymore.
Oh, it's
It's
it's the
totally
worst. I mean, there's probably a couple small hills around, same as here, but like you got to travel a good distance to get to some actual hills.
to mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you do that, you've ruined everything else. You have the best cookie in the world, all the rest suck from there. No, that's not true. All cookies are great.
All cookies are fucking great. Except those ones you brought though for the ride. Those are pretty close to ruining like Chips Ahoy for me. Not gonna lie. Those are good cookies.
The
The ones
decadence.
you
Oh
yeah.
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 Showed them some good old Canadian made cookies. The decadent President's Choice Decadence. Probably some of the
That's what it's called.
best cookies in the world. If you can get your hands on them, please do that. If not, well, next time down, I will distribute the goods. I'll start I'll use the old prohibition tunnels and start smuggling them down into the States. There we go. Now, I want to get to the other food item on your interesting list here. I'm going to save that for last because I want to hear that. But the next one, never met your birth dad. Not really sure where to ask questions on that one. So, like, explain. So, were you just raised by someone else then, or?
Yeah, I was just. I mean, like I was just a complete accident. Like I was the Yeah, I'm the oldest between my three siblings, and my mom was like finishing up her last year of she's finishing up her doctorate degree in South Carolina, and
Hmm.
I happened somehow, I guess, I don't know, and my mom moved away. She wasn't married to my dad, so
Hmm.
they split. She moved back to Michigan where she's from. He stayed in South Carolina, and then yeah, she met somebody, my brother and sister's dad, and he
Okay.
raised me. So I mean, I had a dad. I just
Okay.
like never met my actual birth dad.
Okay, yeah. So I was gonna say sometimes it can be interesting, just like having a, and especially that would be taxing as a mom too, to like try to
Yeah,
raise a few kids just on your own. I mean, I couldn't even do one right now by
no,
myself, even with someone else. But
I
yeah,
can't raise myself, dude. Fuck
yep.
that.
if if there's no one else around, well, that's why we have girlfriends, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, I'd be eating Cheez-Its all day. So
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll move on to that one. Speaking of Cheez-Its, apparently you did eat Cheez-Its all day for 5 days in a row and lived.
yeah, it was just one bar. I fucking those they started boxing up those like the extra toasty ones, the ones that they burn or whatever. And so I don't know. I just like I started eating the hell like those all the time, and then I just like ran out of food one time without even realizing it, and I just didn't have any money, so I made them last. I went like full Bear Grylls, just like ate full Bear Grylls, just ate Cheez-Its for like 5 days straight,
you
just one box.
That's the full college experience right there.
Yeah, yeah. I was in college. I couldn't do anything about it, so I just sucked it up.
See, most students choose to go the rice route. You're like,
I
no.
can't eat ramen because the first time I ever ate ramen, I got the flu, and it's the same with chicken shawarma. I ate chicken shawarma one time, and I got the norovirus, and I threw it
Oh
up, so I can't eat
no.
that either. Yeah, like I can't eat ramen, which is like the staple of a college student's diet.
Yeah.
So I replaced it with Cheez-Its instead.
Oh no, ruined.
Yeah,
That's. I mean, Cheez-Its aren't bad.
no, they're pretty
Can't
good
can't go
alternative.
wrong with that. But I can't imagine your insides were too happy with you. Now this one, I just don't know how I can view after this. One of my
Yeah,
favorite foods is soup, and you hate it.
yeah, dude. Everybody loves soup, and like I hate, like believe me, when people like ask me, they're like, "How do you hate soup?" I'm like, I hate that I hate soup, right? Like I hate that I hate soup because I want to love it because everybody loves it. It's easy to eat. It's like everywhere, soup's everywhere. But like I don't know, man. I'm like texture. I'm like a texture freak. So
Hmm.
like even something tastes really good, if the texture's weird, I'll convince myself it's bad. Like I just won't be able to eat it. Like like I can kind of it's the same with like some dips and stuff too. Like I don't like dips usually. Like spinach artichoke dip, like it's good,
Hmm.
but like I can only eat so much because like after a while I'm just like okay fuck, like I'm forcing it. It tastes good, but I'm still forcing it.
Well, you're crazy,
You
man.
know,
I don't know.
I know. I don't know. I live a rough life. It sucks. I want to eat soup. Believe me, I want to eat soup. People tell me it's great.
All
I
right,
just can't fucking
hang
do it.
around me. We'll make it work. Now, sorry guys. Apparently, my mic is blowing up in your ears right now. I'm trying to fix that up for you guys. I'm not sure what happened. But please let me know. Give me some like Dan's games or something if I'm blowing your face up. But I guess I'm going to jump over to Twitter quickly. Just see a couple things as we transition. Now that we know a little bit more about Huskih and his life, we're going to try to find and dig into his mind about some ATs and some topics that came up in the past couple of days here. But I'm going to jump over to Twitter quickly here. And there was a couple. One we'll start off. Chernobyl here has asked everyone to ask me to SYMD. So gotta love those inside jokes. We'll have to share that one time.
Yeah, yeah, that'll happen.
We'll have
That'll
to
happen.
we'll have to share that one time. And the other one, if I can find it here, question for both of you. From D Pants, you dudes are rad AF. Sup with that. Thanks for traveling to and participating in Chicagoland. Heart.
I mean, he kept like thanking everybody for coming out and stuff, but like we wouldn't have been able to come out if it wasn't for him and Hanzo and Jim are just being absolute fucking troopers, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, they put that all together, which isn't an easy thing to do. So I was more than happy to. So I mean, I'm personally, I think he's rad as fuck, but
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'll take it, I guess.
We'll take it. But yeah, no,
Right.
guys, please also, if you're hanging out on even in YouTube, if you're watching this after, if you're in the Twitch chat, please give some love right now to Hanzo, Jimmer, D-Pants. I mean, there was other people involved as well, but those three really made stuff happen, especially Jimmer for us, who 13 hours there and back, and Hanzo for housing, and D-Pants for making it all work. So.
And Hanzo was nuts, man. Just
Dude.
like not only did he offer his entire house just anything we needed, like he went out while we were all sleeping the last night and bought us all IHOP. Just out of nowhere, just came back with like bags full of like pancakes and eggs and stuff, and we were like, how were we blessed with this angel?
Right? It's like that's next level. No one was thinking of that at all, and there's Hanzo already 3 steps ahead of everyone.
Yeah, that was nuts, man. Absolutely nuts, dude. This community is great. Like the game itself is great, but then the community the community itself tops it.
No, hands down. It's so fun, and we recommend, please, everyone get out to the next lands. If there's one, I went 13 hours, dude, and I was sick the whole weekend. There's no excuses for anyone here. Waller. So make sure you guys get out to the next lands. If there's anything near you, I mean, we had the Texas one, Chicago. Please, guys, support those things. It's so fun to get out and like actually meet people, get that connection, and all these people you know online to see their faces. So it's get out to those, support those, and have fun, guys. But now that we're done with that, we're gonna get on to love to see the love in the chat right now from Twitch. Hopefully YouTube will get the same treatment. But we're gonna jump into advanced techniques. So we're gonna slowly work our way into that. We're gonna save the one that everyone wants to talk about for the last there. But for now, that's the wrong screen there. Advanced techniques. What are advanced techniques? I want to find out what Huskih. I have my own opinions. I want to hear what Huskih. What do you consider an advanced technique?
I guess the easiest way to classify an advanced technique would be like it'd be a technique that requires you to learn other techniques first. You know, like something you can't just do right away. You have to go through the motions and learn other stuff first. Something that's also not very like. A lot of times, advanced techniques are very niche, especially in like the Rocket League. In Rocket League itself, it's when you use them, it's very, 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 very specific, at very, very specific times. So, I guess that'd be the easiest way.
Yeah,
I would think
that makes sense, and it pretty much, I think, is what anyone would think it would be. I mean, I come from a melee background, so it's the whole meta revolves around advanced techniques. The skill gap is just like skill ceilings are huge because of advanced techniques. It's stuff that you really have to work towards, like a certain amount of input. And we're starting to see that a lot in Rocket League now. There are a couple popular ones that we've seen kind of pop up over the past half year. They've been around for a bit, but really popularized recently. Now that I think a lot of people's I think the meta has grown a lot when it comes to the rotation game. People's mechanics are very solid now, and there's that next step needed. With that, I actually have a question for you. Is like, do you think we're seeing more advanced techniques come out as a result of just time put into it, or because a lot of the other meta is fairly developed at this point, or maybe a combination of both?
Wait, because there's more time put into it, is that what you said?
Yeah, so if there's more, because there's more time been put into this, people are just experimenting, or do you think it could have a result of the positioning, people's mechanics, that meta kind of slowing down a bit?
I guess people are just looking for because the game's kind of basic on the surface. I mean, it's not like too crazy to begin with. I guess since everybody spent so much time at this point in the game, it's been out for a year and a half now. Mm-hmm. More than that, a little over a year and a half. So I guess it's just because people are starting to look for better ways because like they're finally getting near that skill ceiling, so they're looking for different ways to push them ahead of people at their level. So I guess it'd be time then, if I had to guess.
Cool. Yeah, but when you're saying it sounds like it's sort of a mixture of both. I mean, I think if we didn't have like crazy advanced techniques like this, the rest of the meta, like especially rotations, positioning, that would still keep advancing. But I think this kind of helps add a little bit more into what we already have, which is cool. Now, advanced techniques. So we've kind of defined it as like a specific set of inputs. Is this a
I,
specific like
I like what Nomad said too about it.
uh
The
something?
small room of error. Like it's easy to mess up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's something that you definitely have to practice a lot at. Otherwise, like if you try to implement it into your gameplay, you're probably going to screw up a lot. So I guess that'd probably be um, a good way to put it too.
True. I mean, so okay. So there's I think Cable Guy also adds on. So we're gonna use it'll be Nomad Guy. Their fusion Hein. Their opinions together here. Something with a small room of error. And a specific combination of mechanics. I think that for me, especially for melee, that makes a lot of sense. You know, in a wave dash comes from the fighting game community. In melee, it's jumping up, air dodging down into the ground, so that you slide.
Right.
You know, there are two different mechanics. There's jumping or short hopping, and there's air dodging. Two different mechanics, fairly simple on their own, put together.
Short hopping's hard, dude. I screw up all my short hops when I try to play that game.
I guess it's all relative then, eh?
Yeah.
So that you know, it's taking a set of skills, putting them together to create something else. Now, at what level do you think it's viable to learn? I mean, like, do you think prospects should be learning how to half flip? Do you think they should maybe work on other stuff before they get to that? What level of skill? We're going to quantify skill here. What level of skill do you think it's viable to start learning advanced techniques?
I mean, I guess I definitely wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't think prospects should be learning how to use more advanced techniques because like not to like alienate prospects, but like a lot of them don't even like use ball cam and stuff, right? So like, you know, you gotta learn how to do the basic stuff before you can start doing. Because even if you did learn that stuff, it wouldn't. I feel like it wouldn't be. They wouldn't be like putting it to good use because they don't have like the basic fundamental understanding of the game yet. Still.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I don't know. Do you want to like answer it on like prospect challenger?
Give us a range, like or give us something like what would a player have to have already in their arsenal before you think it's really appropriate for them to start learning more advanced stuff like half flipping, quarter flipping, wave dashing.
I mean, a lot of people kind of forget about the basic things like learning how to power shot and stuff like that off of like bounce shooting and just having good control of your car, learning how to drift properly. So I guess you want to learn how to do this. And obviously aerialing is
Yeah.
way before any of like you're not going to get anywhere unless you learn how to aerial and read bounces off of walls properly. So I think it's definitely not those things. Okay, so I guess learning how to aerial, learning how to power shot, and like learning how to drift properly and all that stuff, like those things are key to climbing. Like you can get to grand champion without learning how to wave dash and without learning how to half flip. Like you can. So like I guess you don't really I wouldn't recommend people learn how to do those things until they really feel comfortable with everything else because you don't need to do it, but it definitely will give you that edge if you want to be competitive. So
Okay, so it's basically until you think, and kind of going back to our episode last week, if you haven't seen it, check out episode number 9 with Nomad. We talked about muscle memory. So I think it kind of applies going back to that. From the sounds of it, you're saying until you have all of these, I guess, fundamentals, you know, your aerials, being able to take a shot, being able to place it properly, all those fundamentals, until those are really muscle memory, until you've got those down pat, there was really no point. Do you think just the real breaking point for learning advanced techniques then is probably near the professional level? Like it's like that's the next, you know, if you're right at the edge of that, advanced techniques might help push you up there.
yeah, I mean, that's what I would save it for. Like unless you can do everything that I mentioned earlier consistently, like there's no point in taking your time to learn how to wave dash because that wave dash is going to help you maybe one time every like 5 games, and like you should probably learn how to aerial because that's going to help you all 5 games consistently. So it's like, I don't know, it's
Mhm.
not worth it to learn how to do that stuff unless you know how to do everything. And also, like Nomad mentioned, there's things that people forget, like learning how to 50-50 properly and stuff like that. Like 50-50s are huge, and people don't think about them. They always think about trying to beat people to the ball. But a lot of times you can if you take a 50-50 properly, I mean, it does the same thing, and it's a safer way of doing it. So there's a lot of things people need to learn first before they move on to half flipping and wave dashing and the likes.
Cool. Well, that's why we have the RL Dojo here. So make sure you guys keep coming back. We so let's say we're at that point where we're at we've learned all those fundamentals, we've gotten to the top, and we said okay, I'm ready for that next level. What do you think right now are currently the most, like, the best or the most relevant ATs to learn?
The most relevant one is half flipping slash quarter flipping, I guess, but half flipping definitely, because I've seen uh, a really good player to watch when it comes to that technical stuff. If anybody wants like to really watch them, is Espion. He's really good at all that technical
Mm-hmm.
crap. So he was one of the first ones to really adapt to start using half flipping properly in his games. So half flipping for sure. Wave dashing is good for certain situations. Espion also did that in a game.
Yep.
So you can go. There's a video he has doing that, but also not as useful as half flipping. There's a lot of times where like you can get back a lot quicker if you don't turn around, you half flip, or there's a ball you can't quite get to, so you half flip instead, and you can take a 50-50 instead of letting somebody take a free shot. So half flipping for sure, and then wave dashing if you're really feeling ambitious, but definitely learn how to half flip.
There you go. So there are plenty of tutorials out there, guys. I'll probably get some of my own just to add to the mix, but there are plenty out there. I know Overzero had a really big one that went popular. I think most of you have probably already seen it. Go learn from those. Like, there's plenty out there on YouTube. Espion for sure. I know he's just started up doing a lot of advanced stuff, so please check out Espion. Give that man some love. And just checking chat. Cable guy in chat, in the Twitch chat, actually said Blue Star players do advanced techniques by now. No, and I kind of want to say, based off of what Huskih was saying, is like, I think you really need to realize that there's probably other things those Blue Star players should be focusing on. I mean, just because they're doing them doesn't mean, they could be. I mean, this actually happened to me earlier on. I started learning how to wave dash, but I was doing it ranked. And while I'm focused on doing this wave dash properly, I'm getting scored on. So just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's really relevant to their gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with like there's a lot of really mechanically skilled people in this game at this point. Like everybody's got mechanics. It's just like knowing when to use them. Like you can learn how to do other stuff, but like I don't know, just because you can hit something doesn't mean you should. You got to
Precisely.
be more aware.
Well, and again, you made a good point. Like, there's so many other things beside the ATs below the pro level that you really should be focusing on, because if you're not at the pro level, it means there's lots you still have yet to learn. So so right now, what do we have? We pretty much have like 2.5, almost 3.5, about 2.5 advanced techniques. Is there anything else in this besides wave dashing, your half and quarter flipping, that you would consider advanced technique?
Advanced techniques. Mechanically, it's hard to think. I mean, I guess a lot of people have trouble flying in different directions, I guess, than just forward. So I guess that's something to learn how to do properly, is like is just flying in any direction. There's some tutorials on how to do that too, or how to practice that. But it's hard.
It's honestly, it's still so young. Like the game, especially when it comes to ATs, like those come out over time. The fact that we already have a few that we already do is pretty cool, and I'm sure we're gonna find more, as we discovered the other day. But right now, it's still young, but it's cool that we have them. I mean, I'm excited, and I kind of want to ask you: do you enjoy having these advanced techniques? Like, do you like that this stuff is being discovered and put out there and being included in the meta?
Absolutely, and yeah, air drags are also something that air drags are a really hard thing to defend because you can't really, if you do it properly, you can't really tell. The whoever's on the other team can't really tell when you're coming down or going up with the ball. So that's air drags are hard, and like feathering your boost so it stays on your car properly is, yeah. So air drags are also a good advanced technique to learn, but also something that's not as necessary as learning how to clear the ball properly, like with hard bounce shots and power shots and stuff like that. So um, yeah, if people always see like these crazy montages and they want to go straight into like air drags and stuff, but again, you gotta go back to the fundamentals. And as far as like having the advanced techniques, yeah, I love having the advanced techniques in the game. I mean, I'm starting to fall behind myself, like, because I haven't been playing as much. And after hearing of like the no flip and stuff, I was like, at first I was like, oh hell yeah, like a new technique, and then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, never mind, I still have to learn all these other techniques too. 'Cause, I mean, I still have trouble with I mean, I still have trouble with half flipping every once in a while. Like I don't do it perfectly every time, and I don't wave dash perfectly every time. So I still gotta learn how to do that stuff consistently. And
Mm-hmm.
let's see, there's something. Oh yeah, and then I guess just using your air roll properly is really good too. Because there actually I wish I could show a shot that I have saved. Where I used an air roll to maintain my height, but like adjust myself like it was I needed a really big adjustment, and you could have done it two ways, and like air rolling made it really smooth so you could still get a lot of power on the shot. It's like people at first were like, wow, like air rolling's just a flashy thing, but like if you like air roll your car upside down to hit it instead of like if hitting it like you know how you normally would, you can get more height on it, which can take people by surprise and stuff like that. So yeah, there's air rolling to hit the ball properly is also something people need to work on. You can get extra power by hitting corners properly with your cars, with the hitboxes and stuff. So that's definitely something I learned how to do too.
Now, before we get into the no flip that you mentioned before,
Right. Yeah.
where do you ever find it like when you're playing against someone like Espeon? Do you ever find that those ATs at this point really do kind of set him apart? Like, do you think it's because a couple of those things he's employing are setting him apart, or is it, or maybe it's just positioning is better, as any of his hits on the ball are better, or do you think it might be some of the ATs pushing the meta ahead a bit, or do we still have a bit of ways to go before ATs really take that much of an influence on the meta?
I mean, personally, I think that I mean, I don't know how many people agree with me, but I think that it's way more than the ATs that are separating the really good players from the players right below them or whatever. The good from the great from the good. Like Espeon, his just technical skill with most stuff with like just um like double jumping properly. See, that's also another technique people forget about because so many people do it nowadays. Is double jumping properly to get more height. Because there's Espion has a tutorial on that too, where like you have to lean to get the most height as quickly as possible. You have to lean your car back to a very specific like degree almost. Um, and so I think he's like people like that are just technically good at that stuff and reads and stuff, and that's more what sets them apart than the ATs themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're gonna get into it. So some people already like tell me, yes, I know. Don't worry, guys. We have all the information. Um,
Yeah.
and Silex Eric actually in here too to maybe hear some thoughts on this.
Oh yeah.
So now I have my own opinions on this, but I really want to hear Huskies. Maybe we'll bounce back and forth. Chat, feel free to get involved in this too, and I'll see if there's any things in there too. But so the other day, I'm going to say his name wrong, Rinse X or Rinks, found a new advanced technique called the no flip. I'll put it on screen for people watching on YouTube and Twitch. But the no flip, we were at Chicagoland. I found it. I showed you guys, and we all get excited about this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, oh man, and we all thought of like new ways to really maybe utilize this in the future, and like say, okay, well, what are the possibilities? Let's go home and play around with this, test it out. So you can see it on screen if you are watching one of the live broadcasts here. But basically, it allows you to get maximum speed extremely fast through a different button configuration. So you're remapping your air dodge forward to one of your buttons, pressing X again to cancel instantly, holding back, kind of doing like a half flip forward, but canceling it way quicker, and you're boosting the whole way to get speed. So when you saw it, you seemed really excited about it too at the beginning.
At the beginning, yeah, but then the more I guess it's the thing where I was I was excited for a new technique because it does raise the skill ceiling a little bit, and I think this technique here, this no flip, would be crazy for just making the game faster, just like on the ground level, it'd be really quick. But at the same time, I was like, I still have to perfect the other techniques.
Yeah.
I was also excited for like non-standard maps one time, and then, no offense, Eric, but we got Neo Tokyo, and I'm like, I love the idea, but I don't know. I just it's again, the no flip definitely comes with its complications.
So it seems like your hesitation more instead of coming from it being a problem for the meta, just comes from a hesitation of now having to learn it when there are stuff you're already working on.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, but then there's I guess me personally, it's because there's just I haven't been putting in enough time to learn a new technique right now, but then there's the other complications that Corey mentioned. So,
So speaking of, I'm going to pull it up on again for people that are watching either on YouTube or Twitch, so you get the full experience if you're doing that. But so you're right. So we all got excited about this. It got posted on Twitter. Corey mentioned something, and then he eventually came to Reddit afterwards and put this post right here. I'm going to try to TLDR it a bit for people here, but basically Sonics has come out and said that this was unintended. But I mean, my thought is like most advanced techniques generally are unintended. They're things that are discovered through multiple hours of gameplay. So they came out and said, yeah, it's unintended. So I want to kind of point out the things, the reasons I would agree with this, the reasons we disagree with this, what you would agree, what you would disagree. Let's try to hit both sides of the spectrum here on having this in. So my initial thought when I heard this is like that they're taking it out. I'm like, no, that's not good. Like I was actually really upset because I'm like, I come from Melee where it's constantly new stuff being found. What were your thoughts before reading Corey's response? What were your thoughts on it being them saying, hey, we're actually going to remove it?
After they said they're going to remove it, but before seeing
Corey's response, yeah.
I don't know. Like, part of me was like, damn, like this could have set some more players apart from other players, right? Like this could have been a good thing to help raise the skill ceiling and to really increase the depth of the game, because the game, as fun as it is, and as technical as it can be, the game's still like pretty straightforward. And so it would have been cool, but at the same time, I was like. Yeah, I really didn't. I just didn't feel like learning another technique right now. So I was like, half of me was like, no, and the other half was like, no, whatever. Like I don't, like I wasn't gonna tell anybody, but like at the same time, I was like, yay.
Yeah. So it seemed at the beginning, kind of same idea. It's like, oh man, this is a bummer. It's being taken out. Now, excuse me. Corey did make a very good case. There's some things let's go through and break apart. So the three reasons they said that they wanted to take it out. Here is one: all players are forced to add another binding to stay competitive, and our controller mapping just isn't built for it. So right off the bat, I hear that, like it makes sense having to force people. Sense to me. Yeah. To have to force, like, because I'm sure you already are used to what. Do you have any weird combinations on your controller?
No, I actually use default controls. I use one fat thumb for all my buttons. It's hard. But I've been playing for 2,200 hours. Like I'm not going to change.
You're not going to revert that at all. So it's there. They just don't want to have to force everyone to do that. Number two, players cannot learn this for themselves. They must seek out internet guides to even discover they're at a competitive disadvantage by default. This was the one that sort of made the most sense to me, I think, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So what are your thoughts on that then?
I mean, yeah, no, that it's definitely because um, because it's something you can't learn accidentally, right? Like you can't be in a normal game and with a normal layout on your controller, you can't do that, right? From what I understand, I haven't looked too much into it. I guess like I don't even know how to do it, to be honest. I should have looked more into it. But from what I understand, it's something you can't learn with a default like mapping, right? You have to bind a specific button to be able to do it,
Hmm.
correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, okay, so yeah, so then not being able to learn it, and a lot of players, like I mean, as big as the subreddit is, and as many people look up guides and stuff, there's still a very very large portion of the community that doesn't look that stuff up, and inherently they wouldn't even know that they're at a disadvantage if they didn't look stuff up,
Hmm.
right? So yeah,
So
I guess that makes sense.
So number three, I don't even really feel like I want to. I don't know the technical complications. I'm not Psionics, but they
Right.
said it's currently unfair to console players who do not have access to this tool at all. So
Yeah.
if you don't know on console, you don't have the same amount of remapping options. I don't know the technical complications. I think that should just be there. I think
Right.
you should have the same options as the PC.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, off my limited knowledge, write three completely off.
I agree. Yeah.
So so let's go back up through them. Um, and now I do like that Corey said he's a fan of Smash, and he loves
Yeah. Yeah.
everything that's in that. Did you play Smash before at all?
Yeah, I mean, I have my friend. I have a lot of friends that play fighting games. So, my friend Paper actually he's like the number. He's like the eighth player in Michigan or something. So he's good. And I've had my best friend from from kindergarten still plays Melee. So I have a lot of friends that play Melee. So I've I've dabbled a little bit.
Perfect. So I like that the mentalities are there. They like that idea. So players cannot learn this for themselves. I mean, when I think about when I went into Melee, I had no idea wave dashing was a thing. I didn't know shine canceling was a thing. All that stuff
Yeah.
I looked up, and I
Right.
had to if I want to maintain a competitive edge. So for me, that like at one side it makes sense, but at the other side it's
Right.
like, you know what? Some things you're just gonna have to look up. I mean,
Yeah.
Melee
I
doesn't get patched out, so there is that there is an option for that, so they have to
right.
live with it. But the question is, maybe should we just accept it and see where it goes?
It does make sense to like what he's saying makes sense because it's something that is you have to use a very the button that you bind is not used very often. Like it's a very niche thing. So um it makes sense because people can't discover it by themselves. But like how many people to begin with discovered wave dashing and half flipping for themselves without looking it up anyway, right?
Probably a very
Like
limited number.
very very small, and if they did, it was generally people who were at the very like Sad Junior, I think, was one of the first ones to start doing that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
The people that figured out for themselves were generally the people at the very top already who had plenty of like sharp experience and stuff like that. So I get what he's saying, but at the same time it doesn't like if you want to learn advanced techniques, you're probably gonna have to like even though you could figure out wave dashing but couldn't figure this one out, chances are everybody that has figured out wave dashing has looked it up anyway.
Hmm.
So like
So
um,
one thing, and I mean, maybe Nintendo's not the best example because they don't really like their competitive side at all. But one example, as a counter argument to any of this is in Melee, the skill gap is massive. Getting it from a bottom level to the top level, there's this big jump. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that every second move you're doing is an advanced technique, a crazy amount of combinations. And I might pull up a video here just to show people watching just exactly how nuts it is. The APM actions per minute is insane.
yeah, man, they're scary, dude.
And yeah, and so for Psionics, I think one thing they might be trying to avoid is we do have to remember the competitive community isn't the only community, and to be honest, we're probably the minority. The majority of players play Rocket League casually, and I think that's one thing we do have to keep in mind. They probably don't want to try to split the player base. Back to number one, all players are forced to add another binding. I don't also see that as a problem in reality because you can go in. Someone could experiment and say, I'm just going to add a bunch of random key bindings and see what happens. people do that experimentation. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been found, right? This was found through experimentation.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
didn't go
Somebody.
into the code and like figure it out. This was through experimentation.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's. Do you think Husky? Then do you think it would be okay to have the top level of Rocket League have such a massive skill, like just the point where like right now bubble teams can sort of keep up with like the top pro teams. They'll lose, but they can put up a fight. Whereas like if you in Melee, you have the
Oh God,
gods,
like the six gods.
the
Yeah,
gods
it's
that
way different.
you're not going to beat another god unless you are a god.
Yeah,
So that gap is just
it's
massive.
so funny.
Do you think yeah, do you think it would be okay to have something like that in Rocket League, or do you think it I really think that's something that Sonics is trying to avoid.
I
And
think so too.
so what my question, do you as a player, do you think it'd be okay to have that giant ass gap where it's like these guys are just so good, or do you think it's better to have that kind of like slope up to the top?
I'm not gonna lie. If there was a gap like that, I wouldn't be like I wouldn't be in the position I'm in right now. I'd like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd be a competitive player anymore if there was that personally. There's a lot more people with more dedication at this point, but the the I guess we keep comparing it to Melee, but at the same time, like I mean, as vastly different as games, as vastly different the games are themselves. Like the communities themselves are super different too. Like you don't. Most people that play Melee at this point are playing it to try and play at a competitive level. But like most people that are playing Rocket League right now are not playing to play at a competitive level. Like you said, we're in the minority right now. As opposed to, I feel like the competitive side in Melee is not the minority. And so like having those super technical things is like okay because people want to learn them, but like people don't want to have to learn these crazy techniques to play Rocket League and still like kind of keep up, even if it is casual.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's fairly important to, I guess, make sure that there isn't that insane gap. It's like there is kind of that slope where it's like the top teams will beat, you know, these teams here, but they could put up a fight.
Right. It's hard to say because like I've kind of had an issue with the fact that most games, because I've always been a very competitive person, so I've kind of had an issue with most games moving to this more casual side of things, where like or like not I guess not casual, but like it's easy. It's more accessible and easier to play casually. Like Rocket League is far easier to play casually than SARP was. Like SARP was a much harder game, and then like there's also Battle Right, the old game, Bloodline Champions. That game was
Mm-hmm.
crazy hard, and then like Smash 4, way easier than Melee. You know, like all these.
Yep.
I've kind of had an issue with that. So like I kind of personally, I don't want to see the game like as big as like it really helps Sonics to be able to cater to like a huge community. You know. So I think in that sense, I want it to be like that. But at the same time, like I really like the competitive aspect. So I guess having those techniques to kind of really set apart the great from the good um, is something I do want to see. So I'm kind of torn because like I really love Sonics and I really love the community in the game and how much it's grown and I love how there's so many people that can play it, but at the same time I do want to see that that crazy competitive aspect that like you
Mm-hmm.
said really sets apart the top. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
I mean, overall, I guess I again, as you said, conflicted. I mean,
right.
it's tough because at what point does them stepping in and controlling what can be considered an advanced technique become too much?
Hmm.
I've already talked too much, so I want to hear. I kind of took over there. This is a Husky interview, not a Leaf X one. But I think I'm happy with the way that they answered it. I
Right.
think it's just a delicate stepping point of saying, well, this can be advanced, this can't be advanced, because then it's not up to the players to create the meta. It's up to the
Right.
developers. Are you happy with the line they're drawing? Where do you think? What would be the the point where they've stepped over the line too much? Do you think?
Um, that's a good question. Because I think I'm pretty sure in here, maybe in this post by Corey, he says somewhere that like, oh yeah, we're not looking to crush ingenuity or player discovery
Mm-hmm.
of new techniques. So like they really they want this, like that they want this stuff to be discovered. Um, but I mean I guess I mean, I don't think they're going too far right now.
Agreed.
I definitely don't think they're going too far at the moment, but it is really hard to tell because there is a fine line between like what can be allowed as a technical tech or as a advanced technique
Hmm.
and what can't. So, oh God, that is a hard question. I
It,
guess I'd have to wait for them to do it, and then I'd be like, gosh, that's we shouldn't do that. But
mhm.
I mean, I do, like I said, I mean, I do kind of want to see this. Like, I did kind of want to see the no flip be in the game. I did. But again, I think to cater to the community that they've made, I think they're taking the right step personally.
Hmm. And so we know the community is fairly vocal on the things that they want and they like and don't like. I mean, we experienced it during the RLCS during a little flub when it came to the rulings. With the whole flip side thing, it got rectified. Twitch listened to the community and said, okay, we need to change this, and it got changed. Do you think the community would be super vocal if there was? I mean, it seems right now, just going off all this, I mean, right underneath soft oaths, I support this decision wholeheartedly. Do you think the community would just kind of go with it, or do you think there would be kind of if there was one where it was like, hey, you're stepping the line too much, do you think they would step up and say, okay, we can't have that?
Uh, Wait, you mean the community? Would the community step up and
Yeah.
say, or yeah, okay. Well, we have a very vocal community, I think. People are not afraid to like to voice their opinion, even if I don't agree with a lot of the opinions that end up on Twitter.
Yeah.
People are not afraid to like to go on there and say stuff, and especially on the Reddit and on Reddit too.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking again when we were in Chicago when Curtis brought up like the community has a way of kind of self-correcting itself, or
Mm-hmm.
so the community. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. It self-corrects very quickly when people when things aren't when things aren't going according to plan. So I think the community would definitely step up and let them know. And time again, Sinex has proven to listen to the community. So I think if there was something that the community didn't agree with, as like a pretty much as a whole, like um, community or Sonics would do everything in their power to accommodate that. Like if people were really up in arms about the no flip not like them not taking a if the community was really up in arms about Psyonix taking away the no flip, I think Psyonix might take that and say, okay, well maybe we just the add the rebinds to
Console.
PS into console. Yeah, and I think that's something that Psyonix isn't necessarily opposed to if the community really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see it.
I
But I
think
don't think the community's too upset about it.
I
So
think I think you're or you're we have to remember that so far for me, Psyonix has done absolutely nothing to ever break the community's trust. Everything they've done
right,
has worked out, and they're even from their design philosophy, and that's why I think something we do have to keep in mind as well is that you know we could run into if there's too many advanced techniques that gap that we
right,
see in melee, and is that something that falls in line with Psyonix's design philosophy? I mean, it's
right.
their kid, yeah, I guess essentially their
Their kid,
game,
yeah, their
their
kid.
kid, and they have a vision for it, and that's something we do have to remember as well. And I think they've done a very good job of balancing it thus far. I mean, Corey even said here, um, uh, where was it? I'm trying to find it right now, but he says basically we generally take a hands-off approach
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
a lot
remember
of
that
this.
too.
I don't know why I can't find it right now.
I can't see it either.
I'm blind.
Is it up more? I think
Uh,
it's at the very beginning.
uh,
Hands off, right? And generally try to take second paragraph near the bottom. And
Here we go. In
generally
general,
try
we
to
try to
take.
take a hands-off stance with emergent mechanics like this that can be learned with the physics and controls presented to every player and with little intuition.
Yeah,
So I mean, they're even saying, hey, usually this is we step back, but this is one. There has to be a reason, and I think it might have to do with that skill gap.
right,
And trying to avoid a melee situation while still allowing us to. So I think at this point it seems, I originally I'm like, what? No, I hate this.
right.
But
Yeah,
Corey gave a very very good response, and I think it'll be up to the community in the end to decide. If something else does come out like this, and we think it's good for the meta, that we step up and say it. And I'd be really
Mhm.
interested to see how something like that goes. Hopefully, there'll never be a point where the community butts heads with psionics.
Yeah, I'm hoping that doesn't happen yet. So far, I think Cyanix has done a really good job
Yeah,
of handling everything professionally and very well. So I trust them in this decision, honestly, and I was glad to see them handle it like really quickly.
yeah.
Like, you know,
I think we have a very I think we both know we have a plutonic relationship between it's we wouldn't play this game if they hadn't made it, but there wouldn't be a community if we weren't here playing it. So I think we both sides are understanding of it, and again, Sinus has handled everything pretty well. So, yeah, I just wanted to hear your thoughts, and it's cool to see people's um, some weird opinions as well that I see coming up in the chat, but. It's good to see everyone's thoughts on this and bring it to. I think it's something that has to be discussed for because again, if we step back and say, okay, take it out, maybe they'll start saying, well, let's just take out wave dashing, let's take out these other things, and I think a lot of those will be pertinent to future meta, and that's what I wanted to ask you now as we kind of come down to the end of this, is how much do you think the meta will revolve around ATs once people again they've perfected all their other mechanics. Rotations seem to be flawless. Their whiteboard plays, like NHL, all that stuff has had years to figure it out. A lot of the plays are pretty classic. They're standard. I think we'll hit some of that in Rocket League. Once we get to that point where all those things are worked out, do you think the future meta will revolve around advanced techniques? Do you think that will be the driving force to the meta of Rocket League?
that's okay. So I guess that really, yeah, I guess that really revolves around whether or not people start to really master, like, to a point of like to like almost zero mistakes in rotations and pretty much every other mechanical thing. Like you said, once it gets to like everything is just super clean, all rotations are clean. Like then I'm not sure with wave dashing. With wave dashing and half flipping, I don't think those two mechanics define the meta at all. I really don't think they. I don't think I don't think any sort of meta will revolve around those two ATs at this point. Like, I just don't think they're game breaking enough. Like I said, you can get to Grand Champ without learning how to do those things. I mean, Grand Champ clearly isn't a competitive. Like, playing at Grand Champ doesn't mean you're at a top of the competitive level or whatever. But at the same time, like I mean, I've been playing at a pretty competitive level for a while now, and like half flipping and wave dashing only helped me, like barely help me at times, like not very often at all. And so like again, so I don't know. I don't think those two ATs themselves are game breaking enough. I think there'd have to be something else implemented that would really set it apart.
Do you think no flipping would have been that one?
I think no flipping would have definitely changed the game a bit. I think it would have made, like, because then, like, I don't know, you'd only be flipping in very specific situations. Like, the game would speed up immensely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the ground level, like everything would, like, people would be going so fast. So I don't know. I guess no flipping. I think no flipping would have been a way bigger one than wave dashing and half flipping. Although half flipping is still a big thing. Like, you should definitely learn how to half flip eventually. Like, half flipping it does help at times. So
I remember talking about even using that no flip for like going sideways and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That would have been nuts. That would have been nuts.
Did you see a car hop up and then float sideways and land again?
Float sideways. Yeah. Like you could be going. I mean, like we said, you could be doing it with like you could almost like psych someone out, right? You could be going in a different direction than they think, and then they'd cut one way, and you could just no flip instantly, no flip to the right, and just challenge them with a 50-50. You know what I mean? Like, it's the no flip would have changed if assuming that you could no flip to the sides because you could no flip forward. I don't see. I don't see
Imagine
how it wouldn't change it.
Being able to rebind the D-pad. Then you
Right.
just have your directions of your dodges.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think I think if you could no flip sideways, I think that would just be. I think no flipping would have done it. I think that would have changed a lot actually. So
Yeah, everyone would have
I,
been
I'm kind
playing.
of sad. I'm kind of sad to see it go because it would have been. Oh, that
Mhm.
was a bad voice crack. But yeah.
I,
Um.
I wonder if KBM players would have started to emerge.
Oh yeah, that's true. KBM because they would have a lot more options for binding stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would have been different too. Yeah, that'd be weird if like no flipping came in and all of a sudden like KBM was the way to go. Like everybody switched from controller to KBM. That would have been whack. But yeah, so I think no flipping would have done it. But
Yeah, but there's no flipping. I think the important thing here is that, at least for me, and that's why I apologize, guys. I did talk a little more than I usually do during that last segment. I just thought it was an important discussion to not the no flipping specifically being in, but the stepping in of the higher power themselves to decide whether an advanced technique should be in. And I think we're all happy with the result at this point. It's just something to watch out for in the future and make sure. But as we get down to the end of this lovely time with Huskih, I do want to say if you guys have questions for Huskih, please put them in the chat right now. Please tag my name so that I can see it. It'll pop up for me in black, and I'll be able to identify your question. I will still look over everything and try in case you forgot, but please tag my name at LIEFX so that I can see it. But questions for Huskih, the show, anything you guys have questions, please get them out now.
except
And
for when does season 4 gonna?
yeah, right.
I don't have an answer to that.
The whole thing.
No one has an answer.
I just want to see a bunch of SMYD question mark.
Yeah, that's the ID, dude.
That'd be incredible. But yeah, I think we covered a good amount today. So it seems like when it comes to advanced techniques, we have a few right now. Huskih tends to think that right now there are a lot of other things people really need to focus on. The meta doesn't revolve hugely around or even at all around ATs, and we're still waiting for that one. No flip might have been it, but that one to really change the direction that Rocket League goes. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, I think no flip was the more I think about no flip, the more I think it was going to change things a lot. But as far as right now, I think if you think you're at a level to learn how to wave dash and half flip, which I mean a lot of people are at this point, like do it. Obviously, it'll help at times. But I think a bigger thing people need to like work on is like, yeah, like if you might have crazy mechanics, but like just because you can hit something doesn't mean you should. Like there's other things to work on, like rotations and decision making are huge, especially in NA. Like I feel like even mine have been like crazy. Like I've been lacking. Like my decisions have been so crappy recently. So I mean, it's something I need to work on too. But definitely other things to work on first. I think people need to start with that.
Um, Now on that, I kind of want to hear just your thought. Is there specifically something you see at a somewhat high level? In that top level of champ like Grant, because right now there are probably a lot of grand champs that don't probably belong there. Not to like shout out. Gibbs actually had a video today about a lot of people are in ranks that they probably shouldn't belong just because of the lengths of this season.
Right.
Is there something now that you see these people at that grand champ area that they're just missing fundamentals? Like these people could be here if they did this. Is there like one just glaring thing that kind of points out, or does everyone kind of have their own mistakes that they're hitting?
I guess uh like knowing that's hard. Like there's a lot of people there's a lot of times where I'm like I feel like I should be okay with doing something because most of the time if I'm facing or playing a really high level player, they'll do this certain thing, but then I get into ranked and somebody doesn't do what they are like what I think is the smart move, and they just like bum rush me or something. I just get. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to do, I guess, but it just it takes me by surprise because like I feel like I should be doing something and then I get into ranked and none of it works because people are doing things that I don't normally normally play against. I guess it would be just like knowing when to challenge and like when to try and beat someone / when to take 50-50. A lot of people just go for these like crazy dunks and stuff, and it's not a good thing to do. And then also knowing like where your teammate is, like you might have a hit, but waiting for the waiting for like you might be able to challenge someone, but then like waiting for them to take their hit might put you in a better position and them in a worse position. If you feel like they don't have like if they're not in a threatening position, like let them do whatever they want and then take the ball. Like people always feel like if someone has the ball, you have to like challenge them, but like no, you don't. Like you can wait it out, wait for them to do something stupid, and then go with it. But
Well, I was actually talking to Vogan, and he seems like he was pretty adamant on the fact that that was where the meta was going, like this extreme amount of patience of like just letting someone mess up and then taking the ball from them.
yeah, that's kind of what actually my team is trying to focus on more. Is like we have a solid like we get solid at pretty much everything, and then like we try to let the other team make more mistakes. Like we play super patient, like conservative, and then wait for the other team to make as many mistakes as we can, and then try to capitalize on those. You know what I mean? Like not like because we're not like me, Dougal, and Cobanel. Like they're by far more way more mechanically skilled players than us at this point. But like we try to tackle that by being patient and letting them do their thing, and then taking any opportunity we can.
Do you think that's the way that meta is going? That's actually going to help players at a lesser. I mean, you're saying like there are better more mechanically sound players than you. But if the meta is heading in the direction of just letting people mess up and taking the ball, do you think that's a big opportunity for players that coming up right now to get into those higher ranks if that's all they really have to do?
I mean, I think so. Yeah, I think that's definitely a place to start. Is like just, I mean, obviously you need mechanics to do certain things, like obviously, but like, yeah, I think just like being more patient and letting other people do what they think, like letting the other team do what they want to do, and then just kind of going with that. Like if they're not in a threatening position, let them hit the ball, and eventually it'll come to you, and then you can just go from there. I don't know. I think people need to be way more patient when it comes to playing this game. People, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
okay. Down to a question in chat now. Chat. Apparently, you're just really like good at articulating and getting what you want to say across. Usually, our chat just goes off when it comes to question time. But maybe they're just listening intently to things you're saying at this point. We do have one though. Guys, if you don't get any more now, you're gonna run out of time. This is your chance to get Huskih. He's at your bidding right now. Lace Up Your Biatch says in the Twitch chat, what would you change about the RLCS, if anything? Maybe allow more teams?
What would I change about the RLCS?
He's got a list. He's like, oh, right.
Oh, man. I don't, like, we didn't do so hot in RLCS Season 2, so I didn't follow it as much as I probably should have. So I don't really know too much about it after that. I guess the next step for RLCS is letting another region in, like OCE or South America. The problem is it's hard to tell like how well they'll put up against other teams, because like we don't play them ever. We hardly ever play them. So like some teams look really good in their region, but then it's hard to tell how they're really gonna match up at this point. But I guess that would be pretty cool. A pretty cool thing to see is to see another region, another region show up, and then more teams. More teams. I don't know, because like even at the top 4, like the top 4 NA teams make it, and like they didn't do very well. So like allowing more teams to get in and then just get like trounced by Flipside doesn't seem like it's very good for viewership at the moment. I think there needs to be more time for teams to solidify and really work on things before we can allow more teams. I think top 8 is okay for now, personally.
Well, where do you think? Yeah, because it's a good point to make. I mean, and kind of also relevant to OCE. There I think there's like maybe top 3 teams there could compete with maybe like the bottom top 10 in NA.
Right.
So in NA though, do you think like those 9 to 16 spots can compete with the top 8 the top 8 in just in NA alone. Not even speaking of EU. Do you think? Do you think those 6 like is the gap that huge between 16 and 9 and 8 to 1?
It's it's pretty hard because like especially now because of this whole freaking NA shuffle.
Because no one has a team.
And they don't pay too much attention to you at the point at this moment. But like without there being, it's hard to say because like NRG is a really solid team. Obviously, they always have been. But then at both lands, they didn't show up and play as well as they normally do. Which I mean, isn't like I don't like you shouldn't hold it against them. Like it's a super high pressure situation, but like they're kind of like NA's only hope right now, so we need them. But and then there's like Iris, who like does really good things at times, but then they lose to like teams that aren't even like that no one's really even heard too much about, you know. So it's like I don't know. I want to say that okay, I'm like on a really good day for like energy, like on the best day for energy, and then the best day for like the number 9 or number 10 team. I don't think the number 9 or 10 team ever beats NRG. So I guess it's like the problem is the inconsistency with this game. Like Iris has been really inconsistent, so it's hard to tell if there's a gap, like if the gap is crazy, like crazy big, or like yeah, I don't know. It's just it's really hard to tell with how inconsistent teams have been and without there actually being teams. But I think way back when when I was on retrospect and stuff, like 10 through 16 or like even 9 through 16, 8 through 16, like those teams at certain points, even 7 through 16, like could not compete with 1 through 3 or 1 through 4. But nowadays, there are teams that when they have really good days, they can catch a really good team like off guard, and then you know it really just depends on the day, I guess. I don't know. I don't think the gap's crazy big, but I don't know, the game's just very volatile, very very inconsistent. So it's hard. It's very hard to tell.
Speaking of Iris, Lacey PPH also asked, "Do you feel Iris is for real?"
Do I feel Iris is for real? Hard question again, because they're very inconsistent for one, and two, they're very emotionally unstable. Every time
we talked about.
I mean, I love Lechino. I don't really know Squishy or Torment too much, but I was on the same flight as Lechino and I hung out with him a lot in RLCS season 1. But like every time they lose a game, they get super emotionally unstable and they get super depressed. And I don't know. It's hard to tell if one of these games is just gonna like finally snap, like, and they're not gonna be a team anymore, especially with like how many teams break up so consistently. So I don't know. I guess I could see them making LAN, but even if they do make LAN, I don't think they're gonna do well personally. I mean, again, that's my opinion. It doesn't. I'm not saying like I'm better than them. Yeah. I'm just saying I don't think they're gonna do.
Yeah, I think we discussed this, especially the age actually playing a big factor of it. You know, a lot of teams that you've seen be successful do have someone that's at least over 19 that has a little bit more of the maturity and the stability mentally to be able to, you know, stand there and say, okay, you know, if we're losing, let's not tilt, let's figure this out. To be able to see the mistakes they're making, whereas some of these younger players are just absolutely crazy when it comes to mechanics.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
it's just that like, not saying they're crazy, but the mental stability to be able to keep your head in the game is the one thing that seems to be missing from younger players.
And that's why I think Take 3 did so well, because like I mean they were a good team going in, but like they went in, they kept a level head, they had fun with it, and then they ended up doing best in NA. Like they might not have been as good of a team as Iris. I'm not sure anymore. Honestly, I haven't seen them play each other, but like if they're able to keep their head and have a good time with it, like then they're gonna do better. That's just how it's gonna work. And I mean, I want to see Iris do well. Like I like the players, but I don't know. I don't see it going well personally. But who knows? I'd like to see them prove me wrong. I do. I want to see him. I want to see him do well. So
cool. Couple more questions from the Twitch chat. The Twitch chat here. If you guys are watching on YouTube or if you're listening in your car or anywhere else, make sure you guys come Tuesdays 5:30 Eastern time. Every week we have the RL Dojo and we have someone new. You can come in the live chat. It's the only way to ask questions, or, well, sorry, I lied to you. You could go on Twitter and ask questions when we do tweet it out. So just make sure if you guys did have burning questions for the people we have on, those are your two options to do it. So come join us live next time. But Lacey Pubiach, another one here. And last question from him. Who is your favorite RL player other than yourself, and why?
Espeon. Espeon because like if there's one person I think that should be like, okay, Espeon kind of beats himself up a lot. Like he gets really he's kind of an emotional player in the sense that like he takes every loss pretty hard, and he kind of blames himself for like losses pretty often. But he's like an incredible player, like super mechanically gifted. He's an incredibly smart player, and he and just one of the nicest people you ever meet, man. Like if you have a chance to like stop in by Espeon's stream, do it. Like Espeon's stream, he's a really good guy. After having Espeon as a teammate, like it's hard to have like it's no one really matches up with them as a teammate. So definitely Espeon. And he's also making YouTube series on like advanced techniques and mechanical stuff that people want to see. So you should definitely go check those out. He's very informative, and yeah, so Espeon for sure.
Sick. RL Mitchie in the Twitch chat says, since you're on a team, in what ways have you seen advanced techniques in team play? So I think he's specific, for team play. That's a good question when he says that, team play.
I guess, I mean, in team play, the only advanced technique we've ever really done is like pre-jumping for things.
Yeah.
Like if you know where a teammate is, you can pre-jump for a shot. So you're white guys, yeah. So you can moy a bit, and you can beat somebody to the ball because obviously you're in the air quicker. But other than that, like wave dashing and half flipping. I've actually seen. I mean, this is kind of a stupid thing, but like I've seen where like we've hit each other on accident, and like we've ended up backwards. But like when you get hit now, you can if you get hit in the air, you can obviously flip whenever you want after that. And so you start boosting and you half flip, and you can like half flip to the ball quicker. So you can actually if someone doesn't have enough boost, you can actually boost your teammate with a half flip into the ball if you really need to. So I mean, it's very it doesn't happen like ever, but I mean that has happened before. And then but as far as like wave dashing and half flipping by themselves, I mean I don't think they really contribute to team plays themselves. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's. I think they're very something you do individually. I mean.
Yeah. No, it makes
So.
it makes a lot of sense. A lot of that stuff is again, as you said, very individually skill based. There's like, well, I mean, could you count team pin shots? Jimmer's trying. Jimmer's trying to get it called the Hadoken, but
Yeah.
Do you think that could be an AT?
I always forget about that. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of people think like you get the ball right, you got to clear it up the side as quickly as possible. You just got to like people panic when they're defense. They want to get out of their zone. It's obviously a scary spot to be in, but like a lot of times you can take it slow and like kind of dribble it back to your net and have a teammate pinch it with you. And like if you get the pinches properly, like I remember a long time ago, Gibbs was like, man, I wonder if people are going to start using team pinches as like an actual thing. And like people do it now, like where we'll take it slow. And if we can't have a good clear by ourselves and we don't want to take a 50-50, we'll just drive it into one of our players and just team pinch it all the way down to their net. Or not in their net, but into their zone. So yeah, I think team pinches is actually I always forget about that, but yeah, team pinching is definitely something that you can learn.
Laystop actually has another one. I lied. Now, last question. Would you change age limit in order to allow Scrub to play because he's an incredibly talented player?
Scrub's kind of a statistical anomaly, honestly.
Yeah.
He's a very, very special case where he not only is he like an incredible player, but he's very level-headed for being his age, and holds himself very well. So like I wouldn't change it personally. I feel really bad for Scrub because I want him to play, But well, I guess that's hard because no, I wasn't actually thinking about that properly. I guess it wouldn't really hurt anything because I guess there's not many 13-year-olds that are probably gonna make it to group stages anyway. Oh man, would I change it just to? I'm almost tempted to say yeah, I'd change it just to allow Scrub because I think Scrub deserves like so much to be an RLCS like contender. Like he absolutely does. He's an incredible player. So like I almost want to say yeah, I would change it just to because I mean I don't think it would affect too much. It might make I don't know. There's legal issue. The only problem is legal issues.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason they have it set to 15 instead of 13. I don't know what all the legal issues are, but I mean, in their LCS contracts and stuff, like all those fine print and stuff, um, there's obviously reasons they can't set it down lower than 15. Um, I would love to. I would love to let Scrub play, but and I guess if there was no legal issues, yeah, fuck it, why not? I would lower it to 13 to let him play because he's nuts, and I would do it just for Scrub, for sure.
I love that there's actually like debate, like should we do it, should we not, and like I think it was mentioned too before that they thought about it.
Yeah,
because specifically for Scrub, like
for Scrub.
Imagine just like think about it really, like how influential you have to be as a 13-year-old to have like this insanely expensive league wanting to lower the skill or sorry the age limit for you.
Yeah, and they helped him out with getting there too because
Yep.
like for the first RLCS because they felt like he deserved to be there.
Absolutely.
So that was really awesome of Psyonix and Twitch to help Scrub out even
To
though he
facilitate
wasn't.
that,
Yeah, that was sweet. So yeah, and it is really funny though that people have actually debated, and it's like sorry about that. There's no other 13-year-olds that like, that anybody has noticed, but like, yeah, people want to change it specifically for a Scrub, which is nuts, but totally understandable.
Yeah, nuts. That guy's incredible. He's been going forever. That guy's incredible.
Yeah.
But I guess that'll bring us down. That's the end of our questions here. In the Twitch chat. So we are going to throw things off, grab a host for someone around here. And again, if you are watching on YouTube or listening elsewhere, leave comments in the sections below. Maybe there's specific players that you'd like to see brought onto this, or specific topics you'd like to see covered. I actually can't answer on YouTube. I do read all the comments and replies. I can't answer because they're still trying to like do this weird tie-in with my Google Plus profile that won't let me talk. So it's the only reason I don't reply to people on my YouTube. Don't worry, I am reading everything though. So please, if there's any suggestions, let me know.
EFFB.
Yeah, right. And so I'm trying to get that fixed. But yeah, please leave your comments. They are being read, and I am taking them all to heart. So please leave those there. But with that, we are going to end things off. We'll get on with our lives. Let you guys go play some Rocket League, as I'm sure you all will.
Go practice those half flips.
Yeah, there you go. You heard it from Huskih here as first. Go practice your. That's the thing to draw from this whole thing here.
Go practice your half flips, but don't do that until you learn how to aerial properly and power clear. Do those first,
and then don't do those until you. A chain.
Yeah, and then. What about tortilla soup?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a good question. I don't know. I've never had tortilla soup. I'll have to try it.
So wait, I actually have a little more on that. What do you consider a soup?
Oh.
What makes you hate the soup part of soup?
Okay. Maybe it's just okay. So like I said, texture. So like it's mostly like creamy soups.
Oh, okay.
Like creamy soups like freak me out. Like I'm not like deathly afraid of them. I'm like I can be in the same room as them, but like I will not. Yeah, I will not. Potato soup, actually, yeah, I don't mind potato soup because I love potato. Like I love potatoes enough that it offsets the soup.
It's almost
part.
just like really, really mashed potatoes.
Yeah. So I don't mind potato soup too much, but yeah, I don't know. It's mostly the creamy part, man. It freaks me out. I don't like it. I don't like ranch either, which is super un-American. Because people come into Jets where I worked and like ordered specifically ranch, like nothing else. They just come order our ranch. So, yeah, I don't fit, but it's cool.
So you're basically Canada anyway, so it's
yeah. I'm basically a Canadian. hockey, maple syrup. I mean, breakfast my favorite food.
Hey,
So, pour syrup. I'll put syrup on anything.
amen,
No
brother.
joke. So,
Amen. Yeah, it looks like you just got a new fan. Mugen also said soup sucks.
Mugen's
Um,
a homie.
Young Barbecue actually just come in. That young BBQ. What is the no flip technique other than just not flipping for? Oh, so Young Barbecue hadn't seen it. It is being removed, unfortunately. Well, but we had a big discussion. So go. We'll see. Fortunately and unfortunately. But I'll show it to you right here. The no. I don't know if I can pull it back up here for you guys. But the no flip technique, I seem to have lost it. Rip me. I'll just search it here. Is basically your flip canceling. You're not just not flipping, you're flip canceling. This should bring it up for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. You just sit there and don't flip. Crazy technique.
Yeah, you're canceling your front flip by rebinding your dodge to one of your shoulder or any other button, canceling it with X, and then holding back to further cancel it. Just doing the second jump cancels it faster. So it gives you instant speed because you're also able to boost the entirety of the way.
Yeah, that's so fast. I want it to be a thing. But yeah,
I actually tried it the other day. It's actually really hard to
oh yeah, I
pull
believe
off.
it. I believe it's incredibly hard to do properly. But
Yeah, really difficult. But that is the no flip technique. If you want to go see it again, we talked about it. Go back through the whole thing. This will be up on YouTube. I'm a little bit behind that, but they will be up soon. So go watch the whole thing. Honestly, we heard a lot from Huskih, a lot of interesting things. It's worth the watch throughout the entirety of it. So I would go back and give that a listen through. Young Barbecue. But we are ending off. We got to find someone to host. We'll do that with some music on the outro. I just want to thank everybody for coming along. We got a subscriber at the beginning because they just wanted that GFFB Gastrodon. We got to give much love out to that. And we had a few follows throughout the show here. So thank you guys for those follows, for joining in and saying what's up. We do have these every Tuesday at 5:30 Eastern Time. So make sure you guys are here learning about things. We're going to get you good. You're going to get good through the Rocket League Dojo. If there's anything you want to hear or see about it, you can go on Twitter, #RLDojo, and I will see that. So make sure you guys do that. And if you want to speak up about the show, anything you want to see, things you like, things you hate, put that right there with the #RLDojo tag. And we want to thank Huskih for giving us his time tonight to come out and discuss advanced techniques. And we learned a little bit more about him along the way.
thank you so much for having me, man. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I liked it.
Awesome. Hopefully we can have you in the future. But for now,
Yeah.
as I said before, we are going to bounce out with some music until we find someone to host up for you guys. And we'll see you soon. And as always, keep gaming hard.
Deuces.